So good morning to everybody. Nice to see you again. I'm here with my ACL colleagues from the lab. So we will try to talk about our general strategy, a little bit of introduction. Just let me go to the agenda. I will try not to bore you, but there are some analyst recognitions that we want to talk about. Then we have some updates on the Automation Hub roadmap, product lifecycle, and then a quick recap of the features that we delivered lately on 10.1 also, because I'm not sure how far you went with your installation of the products, if you're still on 9.5, 10.1, or 10.2. So we're going to go through all these topics, and we are releasing a new release of the product of workload automation on distributed. It's 10.2.3, so probably going to be, it's already available. Let's say that it will be available on Passport Advantage, I think, next week or so. And Davide will go through the main new enhancements on the distributed side, while Cecilia will go on the mainframe enhancements, because 10.2 on Z is coming in December. So these are actually synchronized releases, because the 10.2 on Z will require dynamic workload console 10.2.3. So we are back to synchronizing the deliveries of Z and distributed, and we'll do that more in the future. Also to make your life a little bit easier to keep versions aligned.
Sorry, Marco, does that mean that all new releases will come with ZMD at the same time? So 10.3 to 10.4.
Okay, so on the distributed side, we are in continuous delivery. So we have a new modification level every 4 months, more or less. While on the Z, after the delivery of 10.2, we will deliver new features with PTFs. But so instead of modification level, you will have small program enhancements through PTF. But more or less, we will try to be aligned with the delivery time. And for 10.3, it will be more or less at the same time. We are also aligning the life cycle. I will go back to that.
Yeah.
I have a specific slide for the life cycle. Okay. Obviously, interrupt me for any questions or doubts or anything. So let's start with the analyst recognition. Why this is important? Because after a number of years, Gartner decided to do a magic quadrant again. That is including basically workload automation. The new name of the market, according to Gartner, is SOAP, which means Service Orchestration and Automation Platform. So it's a bit of a wider market than just traditional workload automation. But this year we had this first magic quadrant for this market from Gartner, and as you can see there, IBM and HCL workload automation solutions are leaders in the magic quadrant, which is a great achievement. I mean, if you take a look, there are just 3 or 4 vendors that are in the top corner. Besides us, there is PNC and Redwood. But HCL and IBM are in a very good position. So we are one of the top solutions on the market. Let's say that also we had the recognition from EMA and other analysts that is more specialized in workload automation. They did their last report in 2023. They will do a new one this year. And we hope to be again confirmed as a value leader also from them. But this magic quadrant stuff is very important because sometimes in customers evaluate other solutions, and sometimes especially top management look at Gartner's report to understand which is the best solution. And it's important to highlight that we are leaders in the magic quadrant.
Where might the MHCL recognize separately?
It's just because we are available on the market with two different, slightly different names. So there's an I or an H depending on the channel, but there are different sales teams, so they need separate recognition. But the technology is mostly the same. Let's say the core technology of workload automation is exactly the same. The differences are in some in the ecosystem. Let's say IBM has its own ecosystem of products, and in HCL software there are a few other tools that have been developed on top of workload automation and so on. So there's a little difference, but as you can see, we are basically in the same position. So IBM is a little stronger in the ability to execute. Of course, it's a large brand, and we are a little ahead on the completeness of vision, which means basically they are taking into account our differentiators. So, but the core technology is exactly the same.
Yeah, Marco, I had so the problem is Gartner, like SAP, and everybody, they require each company to package. So they evaluate each one separately, same as like SAP. Even though it's the same technology, IBM had to submit their own SAP certification. So it's a way for them to generate money.
It was, more work for me because I had to deal with two different certifications, but it's okay. So just let me give you a few information about this Gartner report. So a service orchestration and automation platform, it's what you will see more in the future, the kind of new name for workload automation. It's a little more than traditional workload automation because it's been, let's say, the market is wider to include some tools that are not traditional workload automation, but they still provide service orchestration in general. So it's a way to evolve towards the needs of the modern infrastructure, new applications, data and business processes. I would say that we started to go along with this new definition, especially with all the integrations that we provide on the Automation Hub. That's very important for this purpose. So these are the categories that Gartner considers as the main capabilities for this category of tools. And here you can find a little bit of information on how we are mapping that to features of the product. So we have workflow orchestration. We have obviously all the orchestration capabilities, in particular dependencies management, the recovery options that you have, logical resources, the predictive scheduling functionalities. We have obviously event-driven automation. That's very important in these days. We have the critical path management. We have monitoring and visibility. So on one side, we have all the new views on the UI, on the dynamic workload console to monitor the workloads. And but also, especially on the distributed side, we provide the data for observability data for external tools like Instana, Datadog, Dynatrace, all the observability tools that are on the market. We have KPIs, customizable dashboards. We have the AI Data Advisor component for anomaly detection. We have integrations. We have file transfer capabilities for internal file transfer right now. although we are also looking at the possibility to provide a file gateway for the future. And we have integrations to interact with applications that provide that orchestration and big data capabilities. So this is mostly cloud services that we can integrate with. Then we have self-service automation. We have the self-service catalog, the orchestration command line, integration on the Z side with other tools of the Z ecosystems. So we have a large number of capabilities to cover all the great capabilities, the main capabilities of this kind of platform. Okay, I mean, this was just an introduction, but it's good to know for you and for your management that we are leaders in the Magic Quadrant. And here also, I just remind you what we do for the Automation Hub. At this point, I think we are around 120 integrations available. We are adding more and more. Also, you had some requirements for integrations. It's becoming very important because customers need to orchestrate very often some cloud services, and using a plugin makes their life much easier rather than trying to, to write scripts and write code to run these applications, these services. These are all the categories that we support, in particular file transfer and databases integrations. RPA, we have a lot of integration with RPA tools, including IBM RPA. We have integrations with ITSM tools to implement approval flows in your job streams, if you wish. So, for example, you can have define in a job stream a job that will open a ticket to Jira or ServiceNow if you are using one of these tools. And basically, the job will be completed when the ticket is closed. So you can implement a kind of approval flow in this way, because the ticket will be closed only when there is a human approving, let's say. Or you can send an email. I mean, there are a lot of different ways to implement these. Moreover, the cloud services and specifically data pipelines in the cloud services. And the new category is Gen AI services, Gen AI services. So we provide a connector for OpenAI and also a connector for IBM Watson X. So you can define flows, job streams, where you can use Gen AI invoke a cloud service, Gen AI cloud service, and perform one of the functionalities that they provide, for example, analyzing documents or other capabilities. So this is still going to grow. We are investing still. We have a kind of separated roadmap for the integrations. We deliver new ones every quarter, more or less, as well. So this is still a very important part of our strategy. Now let's take a look at the themes for this year and next year, at least. So the medium-term roadmap. Obviously, we have a very long backlog that will cover the next 5 to 10 years. But obviously, we don't plan so much in advance because the priorities can change, customers' requests, or technology innovation that make us change our priorities. So, for example, some of these items here have been already delivered. Some are being delivered in these days with 10.2.3 or 10.2 on Z, and some will come next year. We will have. I have also a slide with the timelines that I can show you more or less when these features are meant to be delivered. So we completed the observability data let's say, the exposition of observability data for workload automation distributed with the traces. There is the third metrics. So the theory about observability includes three main telemetries: metrics, logs, and traces. Now we covered all of them. So you can actually monitor a lot of data from workload automation, because metrics is more around the infrastructure of the product, the internal infrastructure. So message queues monitoring, information about how the product is doing, if there is any issue or things like that. The logs part, and this is provided in Open Metrics standard, using Open Metrics standard format. The logs is provided in JSON format and provides information about the workload that we execute. The third telemetry, traces, is in Open Telemetry format and provides information about performance. And performance of all the components, including the dynamic workload console, and all the components that are part of the configuration. So, for example, if you include this data, you can actually connect data from with, I don't know, the usage of the database, the data telemetry data from the database with what you get from the workload and what you get from the server, and understand if there are any connections. So understand the cause of performance issues and so on and so on.
So metrics came in first.
Yes, with 9.5 fixpack something.
And 10.2 has which one? Logs or metric or traces?
Maybe 10.1.
Because we were waiting for the third one, weren't we?
Yeah, the third one is metrics, is traces,
Traces.
and it's now with 10.2.3.
Okay, so
It's just delivered. let's
fully
say.
observable now.
Yeah, fully.
Full through OTAN,
Yes.
open telemetry. Okay.
We have also, I think 10.2.2, we have delivered the possibility with the new orchestration command line. I'll talk a little bit more about this in the next slides. We have provided the possibility to import-export the object, the database object definition in a new standard format. So not only our internal scheduling language, but also in JSON and YAML format. That can be easy to manipulate for your developers if they wish to do so. With the 10.2.3, we are going to support PostgreSQL database. So that's another important achievement. It's an open source, so there is interest among a few customers to, save some cost using an open source database. And we have implemented also with 10.2.3 the embedded job definitions. Davide will talk a lot about it in the after lunch. Then we have a big new major release, 10.2 for Z. The main feature is the plan mirroring. Here, Cecilia will talk a lot about this. We are trying to converge on the usage of the UI, the dynamic workload console, between Z and D. So we are introducing the new V2 REST APIs to support the plan mirroring. And so this is will be available for the monitoring part. Next year, with SPs, on top of 10.2, we will introduce also the database part of V2 REST APIs, so that we can align completely what you can do on the dynamic workload console for both distributed and Z. Also, we plan to deliver with SPs some enhancements on the cross dependencies. These are particularly important on the Z side because there are a few customers, especially in Europe, that have very large installations. So they arrived to the top of the scalability they can do with one controller, which is around 1,200,000 operations in a plan at the same time. After that, they get too many performance issues, storage issues. So we actually convinced them to have multiple controllers with some lower numbers, like around 700,000, 800,000 at most, and connected them through the cross dependencies. So we are providing some enhancements in that area to make them more usable. But we will talk more about the Z, let's say, roadmap after I have 2-3 slides together with Cecilia about that. So I want to get some feedback from you, from the Z customers, on what could be more of your interest in the next year. Okay. Then we are investing a lot still, again, changing the dummy workload console to make it more usable. So the new, we did the new orchestration monitoring in 10.2, one of the, maybe 10.2 in general, yeah. And now, although we have, the new workload designer was delivered with 10.1, but it's not graphic. It's with table views. Now we are delivering with 10.2.3 a new graphic designer, modern graphic designer with drag and drop UI. You will see. I have a video, but then also Davide will show you. Yeah, everything about it. For now, this will be only for distributed, but when we do implement the REST2 APIs for the database also on Z, it will be extended next year also to the Z part. So we are evolving the UI. I'm not sure if we are meeting your requirements, but certainly we are investing to. I know you don't agree about that. We'll see. When we get to the demos, then we'll hear your feedback about it. And the automation hub, already mentioned that. Timeline. So in November, this month, we are delivering 10.2.3, and 10.2 on Z is coming in December. Then we plan to deliver new releases. Here I put some items for March and July, modification levels, sorry, and SPs at the same time for the Z side. And then we will have probably the last delivery at the end of the 2025. So these are all modification levels on top of 10.2. And they include also fixes. So we don't deliver any more fix packs because every 4 months there is a kind of new fix pack. It's a modification level, but there's no real difference between a fix pack or a modification level. And here you can see below the roadmap of the integrations. So also there we have a lot of requirements from customers, a long queue. We are completing the implementation of integration with the most important cloud services from the 3 main hyperscaler, AWS, Azure, and Google, because we want to provide the possibility to build job streams where you can implement complete flows with those services.
Are there any plans for fix packs for 10.1?
That's a good question. I think so, but yeah, I think so, but I don't know exactly the date. I can ask and provide that. So in particular here, you see the contents of the new release on distributed on Z. Okay, so PostgreSQL support. We are also supporting Amazon RDS for MS SQL, so new databases available. We have we did some enhancements on the private label settings, so the possibility to define your logo, your organization logo in the UI and customize it with your name. the embedded job definitions, Davide will explain that better. And Certman, it's a new tool that should help to manage the certificates. Because we got the feedback that's a painful scenario for customers, so we're trying to improve the usability of that. The new modeling, you will see a lot about it. The new integrations. On mainframe, the only correction here is that the usability announcements for cross steps will be delivered with an SP, so are not part of the GA content.
What's weight?
What?
Weight.
Okay, so that was a requirement from a customer. I think it's the possibility to run a job that's just insert a weight in the job stream execution.
Oh, okay.
Could be useful if you plan to have a page mode in your workflow where you have to leave multiple dependencies, for example, or you have to wait some time and you don't want to practically skip. Because if you try to for line, for Windows timeout, but there are different behaviors between them. That way, that is the same behavior on all the path.
Okay.
So it's more an orchestration capability than an integration, but was required. On Z we have a similar concept, but we have wait workstations where you can define operations that just wait for the time that you specify in the operation. So,
Marco, can you just go back one slide, please?
of course.
There's a question about why 10103 is highlighted. Well, I guess why the other one's highlighted. Is there a particular reason that's highlighted?
That's actually a mistake. It should be a minor release. Oh no, it's a minor release. So the color code is so because it's not. This is an SP, so we consider that a minor release, but it's just a formal. It's a PTF on top of 10.1 on Z.
Okay.
So it was the last PTF with the announcements that we delivered in on Z before starting working on 10.2.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Okay, let's take a look at the new graphical designer. I show a video. I think the audio is not included, but so it's a new way to design the workflows. You have this new graphical designer. You have a drag and drop UI. So it's something different from what we provided in the past. You have on the left the objects that you can drag and drop in the UI. You have all the job types also here. So you can look at what is already existing in your definitions in the assets part. So it's a quite different way to use the UI for defining job streams. I know that probably most of you don't use the UI for defining job streams, but this could be just a way to make some new personas in your organization to work with the definition of the job streams. So you have, I guess you have still scheduling teams doing that. But there are some organizations that are trying to have a unique team that develops applications and define their own job streams or workflows to execute them. So the way to define this with the graphic way is much simpler for them. For people that are not so used with all the objects and so on. It's let's say kind of intuitive with the modern interfaces to do drag and drop. And you have the possibility to define the details on the right panel. when you highlight one of the. But Davide will show you and in with a demo, and you obviously can interrupt and ask questions. So the idea behind this feature is to open up the definition of the job streams to users that are less experienced with workload automation, and then can have a simplified approach, a more intuitive approach to the definition. Also, we have a new concept that are the workspaces, where you can save what you're doing, what you are designing, and you can reopen it later when you want to complete your job. Obviously, this is all integrated with the auditing feature, any other features that are in the product. So this was a requirement to modernize the modeling part and provide a graphic view. And we are looking at expanding this to the Z side just in a few months. Now let's move to the topic of the life cycle of the product. Any comment on the new graphical designer? You like it? You don't like it?
I think it has potential. I mean, I remember graduates coming into the industry and they're all keen to learn Unix commands and those sorts of things, offering combat commands and things like that. Get flying. So it helps me get productivity straight away by not relying on having that native process.
Okay.
I think if the developers to appreciate what we're building, we're working more closely with the standards of the application. So they like the template, the drop template we're using now, building their design easier, pictures of how we work.
Okay. So let's talk about the life cycle. I'm here. There are some things that are officially announced and others that we cannot officially announce because of some internal rules, but that we can provide a statement about it. So, first of all, when we moved to continuous delivery with the distributed product, we announced that the life cycle would be 2 years of standard support plus 1 of extended support. We heard your complaints. 2 years is too short time to upgrade. And we decided to extend the standard support to 3 years as an exception to the continuous delivery process. So from now on, this will be announced. It's 3 years of standard support plus extension. And we will do the same for Z. So the new release for Z 10.2 will have as well 3 years of standard support. Minimum, this is minimum support. Minimum 3 years of support.
Marco?
Yes.
That's official now, is it? 3 years?
Yes. We have agreed both between ICL and IBM that. Then we have another statement that we cannot announce because it's too soon, let's say. For now, we have announced the end of support of 9.5. That's planned for September, end of September 2025. So that's official. But then if we go along even with the new rule, since we delivered the 10.1 in 2022, and that is following the old model of 5 years of standard support. And 10.2 was delivered in 2023. Even with 3 years of standard support, it will go to 2026. So it will go out of support before 10.1. And we don't want to do that because it makes no sense. Otherwise, customers will stay forever on 10.1. So we our statement is we will deliver, we will not send EOS of 10.2 at least 1 year after 10.1. So it will last longer than 10.1. So I can see this is planned. I cannot announce it because we need to announce 10.3 before, talking about the EOS of 10.2 officially, let's say. But 10.1 will be set end of support, will be planned for 2027, more or less. And 10.2 will go until 2028. So you can decide right now to move to 10.2 because it will last longer than 10.1. So this is an official statement. We won't change it. Okay? It's in our interest because it makes no sense, We have to align with the new policy, but it takes a few years because 10.1 was delivered with the old traditional model. So then 10.3 will probably stay around not much more than 3 years. But 3 years will be always the minimum, okay? And 10.3, I don't know when we plan to deliver it, but probably will be more or less between 2026 and 2027. So we will continue with this policy from now on. Was I clear? Any feedback? Any complaint?
For me, for my company, I went for 10.105 because I went 10.105 or 10.103 because of this.
I know
And
we
you talk about
should have
10.2 and
announced
10.21 and 10.22 and 10. I have no interest because it was all around the EOS time. Yeah. So I thought, what's the point of even looking at the 10.2s? Because that was I think the same time as 2027 or something like that. And I thought, well,
Even before.
it was before that, I think, when we talked about it 18 months ago. So it does make sense for you and for us, the customers, yeah.
Yeah, sorry that we did this, a year after the delivery of 10.2, but it took some time also to go through the process because the official process for continuous delivery, both in HCL and IBM, is 2 years plus 1. So we wanted to change that, and we needed some exception approval, let's say. But we listened to your complaints, let's say. Okay.
From our side, the continuous delivery makes perfect sense. It's something that I'd like for us to be able to evolve. And one of the issues that repeatedly fall down on is the complexity of doing the upgrades themselves. So databases, for example, when we want to this, we have to basically rebuild the databases for any of the major releases, which is a significant undertaking. And then we've got hundreds of agents that we have to put in, which bring with it their own individual 500 times over. And the 3-year cycle is tight for us. I think it generally takes us 3 years to get through. We would choose a version, we would find that version has a number of bugs in it. So we would have to wait for the next fix pack. But that have a number of bugs in it. And we then have to wait for the next either a mini fix pack or patches to that particular fix pack. So we're already by that point 6 months into our 3-year cycle because the first release isn't good enough, stable enough to allow us to deploy. And that's before we then get to all the rest of the components, which is the DWC, lining up the ZOS and deploying to 5.5 agents with a very small team. That's why we've always needed that level of support. Unless the product can become really easy to deploy,
Okay.
and more light touch, it's really hard for us to keep current.
I understand. So in one way, we need to understand how to improve the upgrade. There are a number of features. I want to ask you if you are using any of them, but let's keep that a separate point. But both us and you have some time to evolve at the point where this is possible, because with 10.2, 2028 is much more than 3 years. So we have some time where we can evolve the solution, the product, and also maybe perhaps a little bit the way you perform your upgrades, so that by 2028 maybe we can all be ready, both us with the features, quality, and so on, and you with your processes.
Yeah.
So we need to work together to get to the point where when continuous delivery is an advantage for both.
Yes.
Then just a couple questions. Are you still using FTAs? I guess.
Yes.
And you will have to, or you're planning to change?
We are planning to change. It kind of touches on the complexity issue that we've got.
Yeah, because of course, upgrading a dynamic agents is much easier than
Yeah.
upgrading
We want
FTA.
to migrate to them on Z. We have to because the next version.
We have
FTAs.
already deprecated the FTAs.
Yeah, we thought we could get that done in the space of about 6 months or so, and we are nowhere near. It's going to take us years to do that because of the analysis of the batch that we've got to do with each individual application team
I understand.
hundreds of times over, and then redevelop those before we can even do the change. And then we've got twice as many as that on distributed that we then need to do. So it's going to take us years to even do that.
Okay.
We would like to get there, but then there are some issues we've got with our database. So we're going to have to separate the database out as well. I think how many databases we're going from? We're going from 1 to
We're going to have 12
Yeah.
databases and
so.
dynamic domain managers.
So we've got to build all of those databases, do all of that migration before we can even start doing the migration of the agent. So it's not, within a state the size of ours, it really isn't an easy undertaking.
Okay.
But we do want to do that, yes.
Okay. And you have until 2027 for the Z side because 10.1 is still with FTAs. So.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So our plan is to keep plugging away at that. Over the next
Well,
few
maybe
years.
it will take some years, but also that will be something that will make your upgrade process much easier when you get there.
Yes, absolutely. That's right.
Okay. Okay. Any questions on this? I got 15 minutes left where I just want to talk a little bit about some latest features that we developed on 10.2. So just before the new release.
I've got a quick question.
Yes.
In the last session, we spoke about support for AIX.
That's an undergoing discussion. So we decided at the time we agreed that with Anita, that was the offering manager before Nolan, to deprecate AIX as a platform just for the master, of course, not the agents.
Yeah.
But so 10.2.3 is not supporting AIX for the master. But we have also received a lot of complaints from customers that are still using AIX as a platform for the master. So we may reconsider that. We have not decided yet. So it's possible that it will be reintroduced for the March release.
So it may come back in 10.2.4.
Yes.
Okay.
But we have to decide that. So we have a list of customers that want to stay on AIX. We thought we had less customers using it for the master, But apparently there are still a number of customers, and Nolan is aware of that. So we need to rediscuss. We are trying to limit the number of platforms for obvious reasons, for the effort to test on all these platforms. But we are rediscussing that. So I don't promise, but we are certainly discussing it. So this was 10.2. We did the new the new monitoring views. So the new orchestration monitor on the UI. So that would be my first question for you. Is any of you using the new orchestration monitor on 10.2 dynamic workload console? So I guess the answer is no. So that would be something to evaluate before requiring new enhancements on the monitoring views. So we need to understand if what we announced is going to help at least a little bit for the usability or not. While for the new graphic, obviously that's something really new. You will have to try it. What else? We announced the integration plugin that is called RESTful. And that's important because whenever there is no specific integration for an application that you want to submit and track, if that application provides REST APIs, it's very easy to use the generic plugin to integrate that in the job stream. So it used to be a little more limited because you have to do two jobs, one to submit the API call, the REST API call, and the other to monitor. Now you can do that all in one job, so it's much easier. This is the new orchestration monitor views, but I guess also here we can leverage some demo from Davide if you are interested. New usability, there is a tree view that can be based on the folders if you're using them. So it's also about, trying to leverage the new features like the folders and other that maybe you are not doing because I know it requires work because you have to change the definitions or reorganize them. But using folders, that it's a kind of way to support multi-tenancy in your environment because you can isolate security based on folders. Then you have the tree view in the orchestration part, the orchestration monitoring part, where you can also leverage that to group your definitions, to group the monitoring of your jobs. So we are doing some announcements that also require changes for customers that have been using this product for a long time. And maybe it will take some time before traditional customers start to using them. But these are very important features because they can make your life easier when you monitor, when you define, when you organize your definitions.
Are there any plans to control scheduling objects by folder?
So for example, if you've got a folder with a bunch of job streams in, you want to hold them all. You have to select all and then put them all on hold.
It's in our roadmap for now, even if I don't know when we will implement it. There was already the idea to submit a folder of jobs all together.
Mm-hmm.
So a group of jobs or job streams. So submit the folder.
Yes.
That would be a way to submit groups of job streams that is missing right now in the product.
Good. To control.
But also this could be a way to perform some kind of bulk commands.
Yes.
So it's an interesting idea that we can consider.
I think it's a good idea because we're similar to you. We've got legacy today with huge amounts of different business strategies applying over scheduling to whole. And one of the big arcs now for my kind is we're looking at GCP, we're looking at application modernization, we're doing all these kind of things. And it's like, can you show me in your schedule what this business application is? And I can't utilize folders because I'm using cross dependencies with the mainframe. So that limits some of the stuff that we would love to have done. But also it's about making sure that we're putting a tool in front of the client that shows that we can present their business landscapes and then control their business landscape and give them the flexibility to decide how they want to control them as well, without it being always dependent on a centralized team. That's what I've had to look at my automation. How do I decentralize some of that and make that responsible for business owners?
On this
It's very
topic,
complex at the moment with my single schedule with 14,000 jobs in it. Basically, we can break that down.
on this topic, since there are no folders on the Z side, we were thinking if, and I know that often you use other fields to kind of filter about security. That could be the authority group or the owner ID. There are a couple of fields. If maybe we could have implemented the tree view here based on those fields for Z. That could be an option. I need to investigate a little bit with the customers. Anyway, let me go ahead of time. This week, I guess I can skip. I don't know if anybody's using the service catalog. This is just a reminder. We have this feature that allows basically to build an external view of a number of job streams of your choice. So once you define a job stream, you can decide to flag it as a service. At that point, if the user is authorized, and a particular type of users could be business users or anyway, users that are not expert of workload automation can have visibility of these services, submit them. Perhaps in some cases you can define parameters that can be provided when the service is submitted, so that those are used for variable substitution in the execution of the job stream. So you can actually design a job stream to be used externally as a service. So the business user or the external user will only see the services, will know that he has to submit that with a certain parameter, and then can track it for success, but don't need to understand all the logic, because that will be predefined by your scheduling team and then exposed as a service. And this UI is available both on the DWCA, on the web, let's say, but also from mobile devices. So, for example, you want to define the automation of a process for the onboarding of your employees, new employees, and you need just to provide the name of the new employee as an input, let's say. You can design that workflow, the job stream, then expose it, and anybody can submit it, providing the name of the new employee, and the process will be executed. And you can see whether it was successful or not. You don't need, the business user doesn't need to know the details.
And that being, that incorporate that to purely distributed?
No, it's also for mainframe.
dev as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's also available for mainframe.
There is also another feature that if you use some Jira task inside or ServiceNow and whatsoever approval flow. So if the business user submit the job, but you want to allow them to run in a specific time, or you have to approve it before or someone else should approve.
You can
have
you can code
My next question was, what is there the ITIL controls available?
Yeah, for example, if you use ServiceNow, you can insert at the beginning of the job stream, you can define a job to submit, to open a ticket. And when that is complete, the ticket is closed, that the job stream execution will start. So you have a complete flow that you can implement in this way.
Marco?
Yes.
It opens up a few questions for on this one, but you got, like you said, a business user putting a service which creates a job or a job stream into the plan. And may not get any feedback from us. He repeats the action, repeats the action, repeats the action. So you got multiple then job streams that's in your plan. Is that a possibility in this thing that could possibly happen? Because if they've got the eligibility to submit a service, which is therefore a job stream, they can do multiple job streams into the plan, can't they?
I'm not sure if there is a way to block that. I don't think so. I mean, once you are authorized to submit the service, you can do that, I guess.
What I'm getting at is somebody could misuse that information.
But maybe we could.
If you're using something like ITSM to control the approval process.
Yeah.
How many people are going to go through the process of asking the same time?
So nothing will be submitted.
25 times.
That's not what this is. This is a direct link into your plan
Yeah.
via a mobile device. That's how I'm seeing this right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on one side, you can either insert an approval flow for each of these services, so it will not go to execution until someone approves it. Or as an alternative, if you don't want just to execute multiple at the same time, you can define a resource to avoid that. Depends on what's the need. Of course, we can also, you can also open a requirement to implement some specific limitation. That's also doable. Until now, we didn't get this requirement.
I mean, that's a very simple job. What I'm talking about, you could have a more complicated job than list me the payroll of your company, and that mobile phone gets stolen. They open it up. They wonder what this service does. And then they could actually have the information on that mobile already. That's the kind of thing I'm from a financial organisation worried about. Yeah, that ability to get the information back to that mobile.
Okay, we can have a separate discussion about that to understand better your requirements. Okay, let me skip this for now. I just want to take some time on the orchestration command line, because I think this is a feature that is not very much used yet. So I want to talk just a couple of minutes about this. So we are investing on this new orchestration command line that is a very similar syntax to Conman and Composer, because it's a simpler technology, it's much more powerful, and you can even install it on your personal computer without any connection to this. I mean, connection, you need to be connected, but you don't need the server to be installed on the same machine. So right now this is deployed automatically with dynamic agents, but it supports both commands for the plan and for the database. So in the long run, it will be a full replacement of Conman and Composer. But for now, we are not planning the deprecation of those tools. So don't worry about that. But start thinking about using it, because it's very powerful, and we are investing here to provide new commands that are easier to use. I know that we implemented the import export in JSON YAML format. We are, I'm not sure if we also implemented in this release the migration of the database.
No,
not yet.
that's not yet.
But we are going
to.
to.
Currently, without CLI, you can do something that in Composer is impossible. So have a single file with mixed object definition inside. You can import it. On Composer, you should have one file for each type of objects. So one file for calendars, one file for job definition, one file for job stream. And if you have a single application that you want to move from one environment to another one, it's a mess, because you have to move 4 files, variable table, possession, job definition, job stream, and if you have also some calendar, some 5 files. In this case, you can have one single file and move from one environment to another one. Because you can do ugly model add and the file, and it will pay and they load everything. Also, if there are mixed dependencies between them. So if also the file is not written in the correct order, it will reorder it.
So it's more flexible than the standard command line, and
we are improving it a lot. Currently, 10.2.3, there are some objects that are still not supported, like the tool, if I remember correctly. But we currently support 5 old objects. So the story object is all the objects are supported, the most used, and the one that we change is more freedom.
Okay, so just keep an eye on this, because it will be more important in the future. And you will see also there's a connection to the mainframe solution, but I'll talk about it later. So now I want to close with this one. I'm already out of time. Yeah, I guess that's all right. Remember to participate to our transparent development sessions. These are very useful to keep up with with what we are doing on the products. And we do that every 1 or 2 months, so it's not so frequent. It's just an hour, and you get to know all the news from the lab.
If there's a session next week.
Yes, I think I'll be presenting some of the things you've already seen today about our roadmap.